And it's new parts day. Order came in from Ashley Hinton. Yeah, it was awesome. The parts were inexpensive enough that I don't think I could make them. Certainly not make them properly for what they sold them to me for. It cost a little bit to ship it to Canada, of course, but overall, and some stuff that I just couldn't make. Spring boxes, for example. I thought if I'm going to have the floors off anyway, may as well replace them. Then these are the closeouts that go around the spring boxes. And then this goes into the sill, this edge here, with the closeout panel, sill closeout panel, which I had actually bought from Ashley Hinton on a previous occasion. I bought the closeout panels, I bought the drains, I bought a bunch of stuff. I think I've gone over it with you. I bought the lower hinge repairs for the doors. They included the bolts. They are not the same screws that come stock, but if I use all of the bolts as provided, they will look uniform. And of course, the outer for the A-pillar, right? Bottom, what is that, 7-8 inches, whatever it is. But anyway, those are for the rear quarters. This is a hood, or a bonnet, sorry, English parlance. Bonnet shims, there's 2 of them in there. This part is on the original parts list, but nobody sells it except Ashley Hinton. So I got a set there from him. It's similar to that little closeout to protect the spring box, which I showed you in a previous video that I also got from Ashley Hinton. He's the only one who sells them, so why not, right? These are the toe kicks because mine are in pretty bad shape, right? So I'm doing the floors. I'm going to do those 2 pieces because they were really not expensive at all. And so easier to just fix them. They're done right. And of course that is very important because yeah, the new one's going to be a little better. So we're good with that. And then in addition to that, I also got from Wright's Auto Supplies all kinds of grade 8 bolts. And you've seen how I am with labeling, so this is nice. Oh, the door hinge bolts, that's awesome. I have more of them now. There's some stuff like an anti-roll bar and my front bumper. I'm not putting them on, but the front suspension bolts I'm going to need, you know. So I got all the bolts, all grade 8, and the stuff I don't need for the specific purpose, I can always find a use for a grade 8 bolt on a car. The other thing is, as you can see, I got the door off. That's because I didn't think these parts were arriving for a few days yet. So I started, cleaning up the door, sandblasting. I still got to do the upper lip there, cleaning all this up, getting rid of that black tar gunk before I pull the floor off. I got rid of a lot of it. What I'm going to try today is I'm going to hit it with a heat gun and a sandblaster, because the heat gun and the scraper is what I used before. Sandblaster doesn't take it off. Well, it does, but it takes forever. So maybe if I heat it, it'll come off. The door will go back on before the car goes on the rotisserie. Also, I'm going to be doing some bracing for it. There's no way I'm putting this car on a rotisserie and pulling the floors off without the doors in place. So those will go back on. I took them off so that I could get in and do all the sandblasting cleanup. Then I'm going to set my gaps as well. And that way when I put in the bottom hinge with the door, I should be able to get everything lined up properly after the sill is in place. So yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff going to be happening here. Still got to finish up that door. I ground it in place, but I'll take it off to sandblast it and get in all the little nooks and crannies. So we're making some progress. But yay, it's new parts day. I love new parts day. I love new parts day. Yeah, da 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 da. My garage has suddenly gotten a little more crowded. This is a parts car. It rolls. It's a roller. This is a 1966 Austin Healey Sprite, Mark, I guess, 2. That is an MGA motor, 1600cc, with a, looks like a single SU on it. I haven't had a chance to tear it down yet. This car came available from a member of my car club. It's about 4 hours away from me, so we drove up there with a U-Haul 12-foot trailer, and it fit in the U-Haul enclosed 12-foot trailer. And the reason I went up to get it is because I've got some stuff on my firewall here that I was going to patch here and here, and there's some cracks right there you can see. So I was going to reinforce in there. So I was going to pull this off and use some sheet metal to reinforce the firewall. However, this firewall looks pretty good. The windscreen is cracked, but the frame's looking to be in good shape. So I'm sure there's somebody who could use some of these bits. Some more bits in here. Now I had to put the wheels from my car on it because his tires were all flat and awful. But he had an extra set of wheels for it, which were wire wheels, together with all the hubs. So I'm going to see how good those are and if they're savable, because I kind of want wire wheels on this car. Because I know the midget differential, or the Sprite differential, the axle shafts are different. And you need a shorter axle housing with wire wheels. So I'm going to measure mine that I have under there. And I'm going to measure this one. And I'm going to see if this is in fact the right length for the wire wheels. I will use the wire wheels. Anyway, this is going to get torn down. I probably won't show you a whole lot of this tear down. A lot of it's going to involve, a lot of it's going to involve the Sawzall, but it's, I mean, everybody's seen one of these cars come apart. I'm not particularly trying to save anything. I'm going to save some of the frame rails just in case I need. It looks like I'll have another steering rack. This one works really well. You know, I'll save what I can save out of it. That motor's probably going to sell. The transmission, gearbox, is probably going to sell. Yeah, so there's some exciting new developments in my garage that are going to be taking up some time. So the rotisserie is going to get put off. I might get to it through the winter. If not, then I'll get to it in the spring. It's just too many things happened over the last summer. This thing's got to get torn down or I don't have room to work. So that is where I am at now. One of the other things that has arrived is a set of HS4 carburetors with K&N filters. They will go really well with the 1275, especially if I do a hot head. And they arrived recently. And in addition to that, another buddy of mine, and this just arrived. Sorry, it's such a mess in here. Haven't even opened it yet. But that is, I've got one of the leafs in my rear spring is broken. So that is going to replace my rear leaf spring. What a mess. Oh, and I got this. Came with the car. And the one I have is all cracked up here and broken, and there's a piece missing. So this will save me having to repair that. So all kinds of nice little doodads came. It cost me a couple of $100 in gas and trailer rental together. I think the trailer rental was like $30 a day. I was up and back. So yeah, it's I think I'll get enough out of this to make it worth the while that I spent on it. Some of you may remember I did an episode early on where I took the front end of the 63 as well as the 59 apart, Well, this is that 66 parts car. As you can see, I've been in the process of disassembling it for a while, which is part of the reason I haven't had a whole lot of videos, because it takes a while to strip these things down when you're only doing it on the weekends. But anyway, so what I've done, I've taken out all 4 of the bolts that hold the spring pan in place in the A-arm, one at a time, not a bunch at a time, and I've replaced them with 6-inch long, thread full length carriage bolts. Whoops. With long nuts on them. Now those nuts have been tightened up, just finger tight, but they're a lot more than finger tight now because, well, the spring's pressure's all on them now since I've replaced all 4. So now what I'm going to do, get my good old loosen, put it on here, and I'm just going to loosen these a little at a time as we go down, and as it loosens, the spring will lengthen and be able to come out gently, as opposed to doing the silly thing I did before, using straps and stuff. It just didn't work out. It wasn't safe. So this is the way to actually do it, is you put in the long threads one at a time. You can use threaded rod, you can use whatever, but not on the bottom, and then loosen them off a little at a time. And here we are, no tension at all on the spring. Just pull these off. Get the idea. I'll show you in a second. So here they are, all loosened up, no spring tension. There was no spring tension after what, about, I got 6-inch bolts, and stopped being tension after what, maybe about 4 inches or so, maybe 3. So, I mean, it's not like there's a whole lot of spring travel. I use these, by the way, I use these type of nuts, long ones, because it's a lot easier to get a wrench on without having to get into the middle of the thing there. Into this little gap there. It's easier to get a wrench when it's proud of it. So yeah, but then yeah, the spring just literally drops out the bottom, and then you got no tension. You can disassemble the front end at your leisure with no danger of having anything snap your arm. So it was not the plan to show you most of the destruction of the parts car, but nonetheless, it's coming apart. I got some good bits out of it. I managed to pull, I managed to pull the dash, or the dash. There's some parts there that I might be able to, because I want to reinforce, because if you look on mine, there's a crack there, there's a crack there, crack there, and on the other side too, basically from the hinges, the weight of the hinges. So I was going to reinforce that so I can cut sections of this out. I would just put the thing in as a whole, but the holes are different because from a different spray. It's from a different year. There are still some little holes, like this here obviously is not going to be able to be used to replace this one. This one might clean up enough, but I gotta do both of those. So we'll see what I can pull out of it, but I was happy to pull that piece. So yeah, there are some pieces here that, I don't know, maybe somebody can use them. We'll find out. I'm gonna go to the local Bridge Car Club first, because shipping from Canada can be a pain. But if somebody sees this and needs one of these bits and you see it here, get a hold of me. You know, we'll see what we can work out.